I'm not the type to post on Reddit. I'm usually the guy in the background, scrolling with a slice of pizza, shaking my head at other people's disasters. But what just landed in my lap? Yeah, that's not something I can keep to myself. I'm 44, and if you've ever seen me in a group photo, you probably didn't notice me. I'm not flashy. No designer watches. Didn't finish college. I'm the guy who stayed home while my wife, Emily, she's 37, climbed her way up the corporate tower like she was born wearing a power suit. We've been married a decade. 2 kids, Jack, 8, and Linda, 6. I used to work HVAC, but when our second was born, Emily's career really took off. We made the call that I'd stay home. She started climbing Novor like a rocket, managing teams, flying out to conferences, being interviewed on podcasts. Next thing I knew, she had her own quote graphics floating around LinkedIn. Speak like you lead. Whatever that means. Last year, she became PR director. A big deal. Suddenly, she was the woman in that world, speaking about women in business, breaking barriers, owning your story. At least, that's what she sold to everyone else. At home, I was the guy who got side eyes when I came back with generic cereal instead of the organic brand, or when I forgot almond milk. She never said it outright, but the money changed her. It wasn't always like that. Back when she was starting out as a comms assistant, I was the one paying off her student loans, letting her crash on my couch when she couldn't afford rent. I sat with her through resume rewrites, mock interviews, pep talks. I believed in her before anyone else did. Fast forward 8 years, and suddenly, I'm the dumb dad who can't fold towels the right way. Something shifted 6 months before the Coldplay concert. She started acting corporate at home, distant, rehearsed. No more inside jokes. No more, you're my calm. Instead, she'd correct me in front of the kids, talk to me like I was some intern who jammed the printer. And the comments started creeping in, all passive but sharp. Some people have the luxury of staying home. You wouldn't understand. It's a corporate thing. If I made decisions like you, I wouldn't be where I am. You ever look at someone you love and realize they've outgrown you? Yeah, that. But I didn't push back. What could I do? I had no income, no backup plan. Everything I had was tied up in this marriage, in our home, in the kids. So I kept the ship steady. Pickups, drop-offs, cooking, screen time limits. It mattered. Just not to her anymore. Then came the concert. She dropped it like it was casual. Coldplay was doing a private show. Adam had invited the top execs. Adam Cassis, the CEO. The kind of guy who gets glossy magazine features written about his shoes. I'd met him once at a holiday party. He gave off tries too hard to be cool energy, but I wasn't suspicious. I trusted her. Maybe too much. She wore this sleeveless black dress she hadn't touched in 2 years. Called a rideshare instead of asking me for a drop-off, which she usually did. That night, I thought nothing of it. Next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls and a screenshot from my buddy Dan. Bro, check TikTok. I open the link. Coldplay's Kiss Cam. The camera pans the crowd, smiling couples, awkward strangers. Then it lands on Adam and my wife. She's laughing, hand over her mouth. He leans in like a teenager caught sneaking out. And the comments? They were brutal. People connected the dots instantly, even tagging Novor. I just stared at it. Not even anger. Just that sinking, heavy feeling, like when you realize something's been rotting in the walls for months and you've finally found the smell. When she got home, she didn't mention it. No joke. No story. Just walked in, asked if we had eggs. And that's when I noticed the kid's iPad on the counter. Still logged into her Apple ID. I wasn't snooping. I tapped the screen to check if it was charging. Right then, a message popped up. We're exposed. The video blew up. Everything's ruined. I froze. Then I opened the thread. And there it was, all of it. Months of messages. Jokes about sneaking away during company meetings. Late nights that weren't really work. Him calling me the butler. Her saying I was comfortable but boring. Photos of hotel keys. A selfie of her in a bathrobe. I backed everything up. Screenshots. Airdropped files. Emails to myself. I had receipts, timestamps, More than enough to nuke her polished image. And the irony? A week earlier, she'd resigned from Novor. Said she wanted freedom, wanted to build her own platform. A brand built on authenticity and leadership. The hypocrisy nearly knocked me over. That night, I didn't confront her.
Didn't yell.
Just watched her act normal, talking to the kids, making small talk, while her phone kept buzzing on the counter. That's when I realized I wasn't going to court. I wasn't going to HR. She thought she'd jumped ship clean, thought she had control of the narrative. But I had the story that would burn her brand to the ground. I sat on it for a day, barely slept, just kept rereading the messages, organizing them into folders on my laptop like I was building a war chest. I didn't tell anyone. Not even Dan, the friend who first sent me the TikTok.
Just me.
The glow of the screen, and the knowledge that in my hands, I held the fuse that could blow her entire empire apart. She kept playing her music on that Bluetooth speaker, like she was still living inside her little self-help podcast bubble. And watching her lean down, smiling at our daughter, talking about some art show, like she hadn't just set fire to our life, that almost made it easier. That was the moment I knew what I had to do. First step? Her platform. The shiny little empire she'd built with 2 other execs. A women in leadership brand with all the trimmings. Instagram grids, LinkedIn posts, blog articles polished to perfection. The photo shoots, the power suits, the hashtags. Authenticity wins, women lead the future. She was the face of it. And the thing about Emily? She reused the same 2 passwords for everything. I knew them both. I logged in, opened up that social media scheduler she always bragged about. And instead of the polished quotes she had lined up, I replaced every single one with the truth, the screenshots from the iPad. Not the risque stuff, nothing like that. Just the texts that showed her for what she was. Him calling me the butler. Her saying she played house because she had no ambition. That line hit me like a brick. Then I dropped a file of her messages. 1 sentence for the caption. Here's the truth behind the leader we all knew. No hashtags. No names. Just that. I tagged her mom, her sister, her 2 business partners, and the platform's official page. And then, I logged out. Within 20 minutes, it spread like wildfire. Comments flying in faster than I could read them. Is this real? This is what happens when you build fake brands. The internet didn't miss a beat. They called her out hard. Not the women supporting women girl cheating with her boss. The best part? People started dragging out her own quotes. There's no power without integrity. They turned it into a meme. Her words flipped against her. She tried damage control. Some bland, generic statement passed along through a mutual friend. Screenshots taken out of context. Smear campaign. Time of transition. Nobody bought it. Not even close. One of her board members DM'd me. You've got every right. This is disgusting. Then came her sister. Why would you destroy her career like this? I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, her mom called, straight to voicemail. Then a voice note, shaky and broken, begging me to think of the children. As if that wasn't what I'd been doing all along. And you know who stayed silent? Emily. Not a single word. She didn't even come home that night. Claimed she was at a friend's place to get her head right. But Find My iPhone showed the truth. Hotel. Same one from the texts. Within 48 hours, the empire she'd built crumbled. Accounts deleted. Sponsors pulled out. Speaking events canceled. Her Forbes panel?
Gone.
They swapped her headshot with some random VP from Sweden like she'd never existed. Even her business email got suspended. Meanwhile, I filed for emergency custody. Not to take the kids away from her forever, just to shield them from the blast zone. Because the internet was on fire. Snapchat clips, Instagram stories, ex-colleagues sharing their own stories about how she'd changed, how she always acted superior. Turns out she didn't have real friends, just people chasing clout. And they dropped her faster than she ever dropped me. 2 days later, she finally texted.
Can we talk?
You didn't have to do it like this. I lost everything. I didn't reply. Just sent her a photo of the kids at the kitchen table, eating dinner, calm, safe, untouched by her chaos. Because this wasn't about revenge. This was about balance. She built her brand on loyalty, on empowerment, on being the real deal. And there I was folding laundry while she was sneaking hotel keys with her CEO. The least I could do was give the world a dose of her own authenticity. The craziest part? Her own friends started reposting my post. Not tagging her directly, but the message was clear. Funny how some people preach loyalty while living a lie. Real leaders don't hide behind slogans. And soon, people were linking her name straight to that kiss cam video. 2 million views. Overnight, she went from a voice for leadership to a punchline for Coldplay affair. A week later, I walked into a lawyer's office with a folder of receipts. I wasn't chasing money. I wasn't after blood. I just wanted stability. She can have her freedom, I told him. I want the kids. The lawyer flipped through the screenshots, nodded once, and said, "She's not walking away from this clean." And he was right. Neither of us was. But at least I was honest. 5 days after the post, she finally came home. No grand return. Just the quiet click of the front door at 10:32 a.m. I remember because I was in the middle of folding one of our son's dinosaur hoodies. The house was spotless. Music off. Lights on. A normal Tuesday. She walked in wearing sunglasses like that would hide anything. Didn't say hi. Just stood there in the kitchen, clutching her phone like I might snatch it from her. "Can we talk?" she asked. I looked her dead in the eye. Not in front of the kids. She scanned a room, probably realizing for the first time that nothing had fallen apart without her. Our son was building Legos. Our daughter was doodling on the family calendar. The house wasn't chaos. It was calm. She asked if we could sit in the backyard. I nodded, followed her out. She lowered herself into a patio chair, cleared her throat, and started in with that fake calm voice, the same one she used whenever she was trying to sell a bad pitch. She started with her campaign voice, the kind she used in boardrooms when selling an idea that was already falling apart. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I was stuck. I didn't think you'd understand the pressure I was under. I didn't say a word. Then her mask slipped. The PR voice cracked, and she snapped, "You blew up my life." That's when I finally spoke. "No, you blew up your life." I just hit post. She looked like she wanted to cry, but couldn't. The last 5 days had hollowed her out. Hair undone. No makeup. Jacket wrinkled. This wasn't the polished Emily from brand photos. This was the version she never wanted anyone to see. She begged me to take the post down. Said her mom was devastated. Her sister wouldn't pick up her calls. Sponsors were labeling her a liability. Permanent damage, she called it. I told her that wasn't my problem. That's when she went defensive. Classic Emily move. "You think this makes you a hero? You embarrass me in front of the entire industry." I leaned back. "You embarrassed yourself. I just made sure no one missed it." Silence. She picked at her phone case, eyes darting anywhere but mine. Then came the offer. She'd walk away from the marriage quietly, no drama, if I took the post down and stopped dragging her name. I laughed. "You mean the mud you created?" And then I laid it out. I already filed for emergency custody. You left the kids for 5 days without checking in. I've got texts, timestamps, locations. You're not steering this anymore. Not with me.
Not with them.
She didn't fight it. Didn't even pretend. And that told me everything. As she got up, she asked, "Do they know?" I shook my head. Not yet. But one day they will. And I'll be able to say I never lied to them. She left without hugging the kids. No goodbye. Just slipped out like a guest who'd overstayed her welcome. That night, her sister messaged me. No apology. Just, "You could have handled this privately." I didn't bother replying. Because here's the thing, people like them only care about privacy once the damage goes public. So I focused on what mattered. I kept pushing custody forward. Showed the lawyer everything, texts, hotel locations, the missed school pickups while she was with Adam. He didn't say much, just leaned back and said, "You're sitting on a mountain of leverage." 3 days later, her lawyer came crawling in with a weak deal, 50-50 custody, amicable separation, equal time. I fired back one line. Tell her to show up for one PDA meeting first. The judge didn't need much convincing. Temporary custody was granted without a single objection. Her lawyer must have told her it'd look worse to fight and lose hard. Meanwhile, she disappeared. Deleted posts. Locked Twitter. Vanished from Instagram. Cancelled speaking gigs.
Pulled out of her platform.
And then the emails started trickling in. From women who used to work with her. You don't know me, but I always felt something off about her. Thank you for standing up. Not just for yourself, for men like us who stay quiet. That one hit different. Not in the heart, but in the head. It made me realize how many guys swallow this kind of betrayal because they think no one will believe them, or worse, that it'll make them look weak. But I wasn't weak. I was quiet. And there's a difference. Once custody was temporarily locked in, I picked up the phone and called an old buddy from my HVAC days. He'd started a small service company. I asked if he needed a co-owner, maybe an investor. He laughed, asked, "You still know your way around units?" "Better than I know PR," I told him. We talked numbers. Nothing huge. Just enough to put something real under my name, income, a business, a paper trail. Something solid. Something she never thought I'd have. Because here's the truth she forgot. She didn't build her empire alone. I was the one covering her rent when she couldn't. I paid for the Wi-Fi when she was broke. I bought the printer ink for her first resumes. I sat with her in the car after her third failed interview. I was always the guy in the background. Not anymore. By the time her side realized this wasn't a bluff, it was too late. The paperwork was moving. The timeline was airtight. 5 days gone. The trail of where she'd been, what she'd ignored, who she'd chosen instead. My lawyer was steady. But the receipts? The receipts were bulletproof. Her lawyer kept reaching out, trying to soften the blow. "We need to consider the kids." That one nearly made me laugh. She'd vanished for 5 days after the explosion, and now she wanted to co-parent? I told my lawyer, no meetings. No mediation. She cheated.
She walked out.
She left the house in chaos during a storm she created. The only thing we're mediating is the split, and even then I've got conditions.
And I meant it.
In the end, I walked away with full legal and physical custody. She moved out. I stayed in the house. On top of that, half of all liquid assets and savings. But the crown jewel, the company shares. Most people didn't know this, but a huge chunk of her net worth was tied up in that shiny women in leadership platform she co-founded. After the scandal, her own board blacklisted her. No lawsuits, no press releases, no drama, just erased her name like she'd never been there. And those unstable shares? That's where I stepped in. I knew her accounts. I knew exactly how she structured her empire. And I knew she used our joint account to fund it from the start. All those early business expenses she bragged about, the laptop, the camera, the furniture, every last piece had been bought with our shared money. So, when the financial disclosures came, I dragged it all onto my list. Her side pushed back, tried to downplay the company, saying the platform wasn't even profitable enough to split. I told my lawyer, demand the full books. 3 days later, they folded. Turns out, there were big sponsorship deals waiting to close before the scandal blew it all up. Her exit killed them, but the value still counted. Legally, we landed at 50-50. But in reality, I walked away with more because she needed it done fast. Publicly, her career was over. Privately, she was still scrambling, consulting gigs, little speaking deals overseas, anything to prove she wasn't finished. But she couldn't chase those with a courtroom battle hanging over her. So she signed. No outburst, no last stand, just a 1,000-yard stare and a shaky signature that cost her half her empire and both kids. She tried to say something, then whispered, "I just want them to know I love them." I didn't even blink. "Then maybe you should have stayed home." That was it. Her lawyer packed up, shook my hand like we'd just closed a business deal, and it was over. I walked out with a folder under my arm, a fresh account in my name, and full custody of my kids. That night, I opened a blank spreadsheet. I wasn't going to be a full-time house dad living off sympathy. I had half her net worth, my savings, and one thought: build something real. I started digging into service businesses, junk removal, pressure washing, small truck fleets. Nothing flashy, but steady. That's when I spotted the gap. A moving and hauling company shutting down, 3 trucks, no online presence, solid reputation. The owner wanted out. I called. He said, "Make me an offer and I'll throw in the name and number."
Done.
I wired the money the next morning. In 2 weeks, we had jobs lined up off Craigslist, Facebook, word of mouth. Cleanouts, garage moves, appliance hauling. Nothing glamorous, but steady. And mine. Meanwhile, Emily tried to crawl back online. A private Instagram, a black and white quote about healing. Nobody cared. Dead likes. Silence. Even her sister posted family photos without her for the first time. The tribe had moved on.
Me?
I took the kids to the movies. Popcorn, soda, a whole theater to ourselves. No one asking questions. No phones buzzing. Just me and 2 kids laughing at a dumb cartoon. For the first time, I wasn't the background character in her story. I was the one with the house, the business, the kids. She was the one left with a ghost account and a career that vanished overnight. 3 months later, my life had a rhythm again. Mornings started early, lunches packed, kids dropped off, teachers smiling when they saw me. By 8, I was in the truck, hauling jobs with 3 local guys who didn't care about scandals, only work. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. And for the first time in years, honest. Her name faded. The TikTok scandal got buried under a dozen new ones. She posted some half-hearted essay online about resilience, about healing. No traction. No reposts. No one cared. She tried the rebrand, but the bridges were already ash. I didn't have time to notice anyway. By then, I'd added another truck, picked up contracts, built savings, and opened college funds for my kids. Real stability. Quiet stability. She tried creeping back into the kids' lives. Texts, promises, half-hearted appearances. Even showed up at a soccer game once, sunglasses on, sitting alone. The kids waved politely, but ran to me after the whistle. She tried to come over, but she wasn't part of our orbit anymore. She was just a shadow on the sidelines, watching the life she lost walk away without her. I blocked her, told her straight. If you want time with them, go through the court. She snapped, said I was making it impossible. I didn't flinch. You disappeared. You don't just pop back in like you forgot your keys. She turned, walked away without a glance. Later, the kids asked about her. I kept it simple. She's figuring some things out. But right now, this is home. No trash talk, no drama. Just facts. They didn't push it. Truth was, they were better off. No tension. No side comments. No storm cloud hanging over dinner. It's strange, a year ago, I thought my world was crumbling.
But now?
I see I built something stronger than what I lost. The other night, my daughter asked why Mommy doesn't live here anymore. I told her the truth, in the gentlest way I could. Sometimes, people stop being kind to the ones they love. And when that happens, you have to make choices that keep you safe. She nodded like she got it, then asked if we could have pancakes for dinner. So we did. Later that night, standing in a clean house, lunches packed, calendar neat and steady, it hit me. I didn't just survive. I rebuilt. For years, I was the safe option. I once overheard her joke to her sister that I was the guy you marry when you're done with losers. That stung. But here I am, steady income, full custody, a business with my name on the trucks and kids who laugh more than they used to. She tried to bounce back, consulting at some startup a few towns over, keeping her head down, waiting for people to forget. Maybe one day she'll try to sell her redemption story. But the thing is, you can't sell inspiration if no one believes you lived it.
Me?
I don't have to sell anything. I just work. My hauling company, First Haul, has 7 trucks now, 2 locations, full staff with benefits. I still throw on a hoodie, climb into the cab, and haul right alongside my guys. No suits. No glossy speeches. Just honest work. 200 5-star reviews. All word of mouth. I didn't set out to win, I just refused to quit. Meanwhile, she resurfaced at some no-name startup event, giving a talk about reclaiming your narrative. Someone sent me a clip. 30 folding chairs. An air conditioner louder than the applause. She never took responsibility. Never said my name. Just vague, recycled lines about growth. That's her comeback. Quiet. Forgettable.
Me?
I just sponsored my kids' soccer team. First haul. Across their jerseys. We made playoffs. My son plays defense like his life depends on it. My daughter, she's 8 and already begging to help in the office this summer. She loves spreadsheets. Kids aren't stupid. They know who packed the lunches, who showed up, who stayed when it got ugly. You don't fix that with birthday cards or Instagram quotes. And the best part? The quiet. No more walking on eggshells. No more being talked down to in my own house. Just routine.
Peace.
Wednesday, takeout. Saturday, groceries. Backyard nights under the porch light. My kids don't feel the tension in the walls anymore. Sometimes guys reach out, old coworkers, strangers online, asking how I kept it together. I tell them the same thing. Cut the noise. Stack small wins. Keep moving. Don't waste energy on revenge. Don't try to make her regret it. Just build. The more I built, the quieter everything got. The day I knew I'd really moved on, I was at a weekend market with the kids. Breakfast burritos, cheap bracelets, a little model plane. We bumped into one of her old friends, the kind who used to give me fake smiles at company parties. She saw me, then looked away. No wave. No stop. Just kept walking. And that's when it clicked. I wasn't the guy she left behind anymore. I wasn't her punchline. I was the one who outlasted the noise. She was the rising star.
But me?
I own the sky she fell from.